Okay, ladies, I know a lot of you have already seen the video that Gelli Arts put out concerning those image transfers that you can do on your Gelli plate. And so this past weekend, we had a few ladies over in my studio and we decided that we were going to try it. All right, well, let's put it this way. Shannon Green said, "Try it, Rosemary." So I said, okay. So I brought my plate out and we put on the video so we could follow it. So we were all sassy thinking, hey, we can do this. And nothing happened. I can't tell you how many prints I tried and nothing happened. And we go, yeah, it is very magical, isn't it? It's so magical, we can't do it. We can't see it. I was getting very frustrated. We tried different paints. We tried this. We tried that. And it was going nowhere. So I said, okay, Shannon, you try. So she goes over there. And I can't really remember what she did different the first time. But she got something. Something was there. It wasn't a good print, but she got something. So we go, okay, well, you're onto something here. So she kept playing with it, and her prints were getting better and better and better. And what we concluded, and you're all going to have to, fill it out for yourself, but basically, you need to start off with a dark paint. The darker the better. So if you use black, that's the best, but you can use the dark blues, the dark greens, but it needs to be dark. For us anyway, the ones that printed the best were glossy, as opposed to the matte. So the glossier the better, and the more contrast in your picture, the better. I've come to the conclusion for me that the best ones, for me personally, in my attempts, have just been glossy black and white images out of magazines, like fashion magazines or whatever. And there needs to be a lot of contrast if you don't have black and whites. Make sure you don't have a lot of tones that kind of commingle and monochromatic. It's not going to work because nothing's going to stand out. You need that contrast. All right. Having said that, even though now I kind of know what I need to do and what I need to use and yada, 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 they still don't all work. And so if you're going to attempt to do this, don't get frustrated, because I had a black and white print. It was glossy. I used a dark color, and hardly nothing came out. This is like a close-up of somebody. These are glasses she has on. You can barely tell that. And then the rest of the face just got all mushed up. So obviously that did not work, even though I used everything that worked before. This one the same way. I was so hopeful because it was a beautiful picture I wanted to use. And no, it showed up here. It transferred just fine. A little bit down here, but the part I really, really wanted, it just turned into mush. This one, I don't even remember what it was supposed to be, but obviously, oh yeah, I remember now. It went this way. Here you see a little bit of the trees, but the rest, gone. This one here is a picture of a hand, and I was very hopeful. I thought this one was going to work, and look, it just kind of fell apart. This one, I still think it's kind of cool, but it didn't work, I still think, I still like this one, but it didn't work either. And this one, I don't know. I have no idea either. Okay, now these are just the ones that I kept that were mistakes, because I think I can use them, with collage and stuff like that. There's many, many more that went into the trash that I did not like at all. So, like I say, don't get discouraged, because even after I ruined a bunch, you know, I did come to the conclusion of what works, and still it didn't work all the time. All right, here are some they started to get better. And these were glossy, and these were black and white photos. This was also glossy and a black and white, but it didn't work as well. But at least you can see there's a mouth, there's glasses, you know. You can halfway make out what it's supposed to be. This one I think came out pretty cool. I like this one. This was also a black and white for L'Oreal. And because there was a lot of contrast with the makeup, you can see what, but I had a little too much paint, because see how it's kind of, you know, what's the word, smearing here. So there was probably too much paint when I laid it down. That's another thing. You can't have too much paint. You have to have just the right amount. What that is, I can't explain it. But if you pick it up and it looks like that, you had too much. It's smeared. So it's just, you got to get the feel. I haven't quite worked that out yet, but hopefully. I like the way this one came out. This was also black and white. But all those little bubbles right there, that shows that I had too much paint. See, I had way too much paint when I put it down. That's what all those little ripples and all that. At least it printed a little bit, but I needed less paint. On this one, what happens also is if you lift it up, and you can't leave it too long. The original one, when you put it down, the original image, you can't leave it too long. Now this was one of the first ones I did, and I lifted it up like this. You lifted up the original, and her face looked pretty good, but I wanted it a little better. So I laid it down and rubbed it some more. When I rubbed it some more, I ended up just lifting up all of the paint, and the print, it didn't show anymore. So I would not suggest putting it down, rubbing it, lifting it, putting it back down, because it's almost like the opposite. If you want to get the print more onto your plate, when you rub it, you're really rubbing all of the paint onto your original print, which leaves nothing on the plate. You're just lifting it all. So don't leave it very long. Lift it up, and you know, you get what you get. This may not make any sense if you haven't done it yet, but if you go and try it, this will make sense to you. Now I like, this one came out light, but I like it. You know, you can see here again, all of this, I had too much paint, so it's just kind of mushy. But this section here, I like how it came out. And this was a black and white. This was trees, and here's the reflection of the trees in the water. And I like how that one came out. These were Spanish dancers, also black and white. And this was also black and white, glossy. I like how this one came out too. Another glossy black and white. I like this one. It's not perfect, but I really, really like it. See right here, kind of messed up. This one here, I think is pretty cool too. This also was a black and white. All this messed up, only her face came out. And this was from some old manual showing how to make things. That was black and white. And this is a vintage cityscape here off in the distance. And then more of a close-up with people around, some water, and some arches. And I think this one came out pretty cool too. This was a black and white and a glossy. So, all I can say is, if you enjoy playing with your jelly print, your jelly plate, you'll enjoy doing these prints. But you have to be patient. You can't give up. Have to be willing to waste some paper. And, use your mistakes too. I'm going to use those. What I thought was kind of cool was, depending on the color that you end up putting on your second print, that looks pretty cool. What these end up like. See, this one didn't come out at all, but I like how the original looks. Now that it has the pink on it, I think it looks pretty cool. It was a black and white. And, so you really get twofers. The ones you pull off can look pretty cool too. And this is the one that had the trees. I think this one got thrown away because nothing came out on that. It was just all black. And this one didn't print either, but I like the way the original looks. And then this is the one where only the face came out, but it was because that was before I realized I needed contrast. And this whole thing was kind of, dark and one-dimensional, and her face was the only thing that had contrast. And this is one of the first ones we did, and nothing came out. And this is the one where I showed you only the glasses came out. Nothing else, you could make it out. And this is one of the ones that didn't come out at all, but I think it looks pretty cool like that. So I think another thing that would be fun is, even if you didn't want to do the image transfers, if you have black and whites, or even colored ones like this, if you put a color on your plate and then basically just used it as a coloring tool for your images, you can come out with some pretty cool stuff just like that. Even if you're not interested in the image transfer, if you have some pages or some books where the pages they're not glossy, they're flat, so they're not going to do a good image transfer at all. But you may want to try this technique just to add some drama to some pictures that you have, and use those in your collage, because now you've created a whole different look. Here's the one I did with the black. Here's another one. This one was color, and you can see how a little bit bled through. And this one's kind of cool too. This is a frog, and that was one that before we knew what we were doing, that didn't work. It would have been pretty cool. But anyway, so those are the various things that you can do with this technique, whether you wanted to transfer, or maybe if you just want to bring new life to some pictures that you have taken out of some magazines, and just give it a different look. Okay, I hope that I've inspired you to try something new, and hopefully helped you not be frustrated and discouraged when you try this technique, because it's well worth trying, because you really will enjoy the outcome when it works.